Hello all! Welcome one and all to the Resi RNG weekly music talk stream. I am your host, Resi RNG, and welcome everybody who's trickling in today. How has your week been? I hope it has been nice and chill. Things are starting to cool down as we transition into the fall months, and I'm all for that. I love the fall. I love the cool weather. Um, what have I been up to recently? Of course, I've been keeping a close eye on King Gizzard's continued touring in America. They just recently ended it off. They played a gig at the fucking Gorge yesterday in front of 20,000 plus people. It was incredible to watch. So that's what I've been up to. Got that on the back burner. A lot of stuff as well to do with the glam videos. I've been hard at work on those. I don't know quite if I'll be able to make the end of September in releasing the video, but I'm gonna be trying my damnedest, of course. I've actually, before stream happened, a few hours before I've gone live, I posted up a new update, another blog entry on my Patreon. Anybody who is $2 and up can go and check it out for yourself at patreon.com/ResiRNG. Although after the stream, I'm going to make my own, truncated version of that post for the community tab. So if you're just interested to hear the ins and outs of those details, of course I will let you know there. Otherwise, today's guest, I've got he's come to me. He's coming to me through a friend of the channel, Katie, and of Cat Burger fame. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember her too well, but she was a guest on my charity stream for the Internet Archive. She also does a bunch of video essays like me, and she pointed me in the direction of this dude who seems pretty chill. From my inspection. He's got really good taste in rock music and and R&B and all that sort of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to talk with him about it. Would you all please welcome the Atomic Punk Shino High?
Hello, it's me, Shino.
How's it going, man? Welcome to the talk stream.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I think a mutual friend of ours is, Katie of Cat Burger fame. How did you come to know her?
Old lady Katie, she's one of my first VTuber people that I found when I made all my accounts and stuff nearly 4 years ago.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
we've just been kind of watching each other grow and supporting all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Right on.
she's an awesome creator, and we just known each other for a good while.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love her stuff. It's great to see VTubers, like her, who are constantly trying to do things, beyond what VTubers have traditionally been known for with streaming and whatnot. It's very, very inspirational as somebody who does video essays himself. So something I usually like to ask to sort of open the floor starting off with these streams. Obviously everybody loves music to some degree or another, or if you're not, you're kind of a heartless Philistine, but that's neither here nor
Yeah.
there. But to some degree, right, everybody loves music, but obviously this show I love to bring on people who have some background in doing music, either as a hobby, as some sort of career, or just people who are really, really passionate about it. So I'm curious to know what sort of sparked your passion for music. Like what sort of set you on your path as sort of a I guess musician in the VTuber world.
Okay. Well, where did it all begin? It's quite a bit ago, back in the 90s. My dad was a musician. He played the
Oh,
drums,
nice.
and yeah, he did a couple of different original projects, and He always took me to studios for his practice or whatever when it was time to like watch the kids and stuff. So like I would be around like the studios and watching them record music and listen to different people come in and out like for years. So
Oh
I
wow.
was like, I want to do that. I want to find something to play. And I got my first instrument, which was an old, warped, beat up 12-string guitar with rusty strings, and
Oh
I
boy.
played that shit. And it was fun. It was fun to just learn and experiment with whatever before I even like was able to take a school class with music. You know.
Absolutely. We all have our shitty first instruments that we love to learn on. That's the whole premise of Jukebox Hero, or at least the first verse of that. I don't know.
Mhm.
That's awesome though. Did you just, I guess, sort of further that education as you went along in school?
Yeah, so I got to middle school after moving states and getting into a better school system. So I got a better education. But
Mm-hmm.
I because Texas music like programs are like some of the best in the world. So I got
Oh,
lucky
that's
on
interesting.
yeah. So I got lucky on that front. Um, I signed up for band, which was
Mm-hmm.
like it included one ensemble and like some lessons. So I did
Nice.
that, and then like the second year, well, yeah, well, the first year I joined a wind ensemble and I played French horn. So that was my
Oh,
first official instrument.
that's
Um,
fun.
yeah,
I've always had
and
a I've always had an appreciation, for people who are able to learn those sorts of brass instruments. I've never had the lung capacity to, play, I guess,
mhm, mhm.
that degree, or the embouchure for that matter. Like, oh my god, like the
Yeah,
amount you need to, shape your lips to get a sound out of those instruments it's crazy to me.
yeah. I didn't used to know this back then, but French horn mouthpieces have smaller openings than trumpet mouthpieces sometimes.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so you have to make your aperture smaller than the
Mm-hmm,
trumpets.
mm-hmm. That's
Um,
interesting. I
but yeah,
that just reminds me, I was in when I was in college, I played in, like a big band ensemble, so there were like a lot of trumpet players in there, and
mhm.
I'd constantly be hearing them talk about their embouchures and like
Playing
it's
higher
just
notes.
yeah, exactly. It's just an interesting world, like like playing the trumpet and oh my god, I remember like at the end of one show, like one of our trumpet players, he like literally the last note of the show, like he just
Uh oh.
passed out at the end of it.
Oh
It-
yeah, I've seen some videos trumpet players passing out after like a big note or whatever.
yeah. That's fun.
Yeah.
But
It's like who has the biggest ego and can like back it up with actually playing well.
yeah. Oh my god, like one of our trumpet players in that ensemble, he was just like super he would soar into the stratosphere with his high notes sometimes. Just
Mhm.
like he I don't know like too much about like trumpet virtuosity, but apparently he was something of a big deal. I don't know exactly how he's developed, since college. I wish him well, but
Yeah.
it's fun to run into talents like that so casually when you participate in music programs.
Mhm.
Uh, so I guess you correct me if I'm wrong. You are predominantly a mixer and a singer, is that right?
No, actually. I am predominantly a like my number one instrument, the one that I'm going to college for is bass trombone.
Oh, okay.
Um so that's the instrument that I'm supposed to be best at.
See,
Um,
that makes sense because I think just before the stream I was listening to like some of your music on your channel, and I came across that "Fly Me to the Moon" cover you did, and I
mhm.
was wondering if that trombone was you or like some other sample. It sounded nice.
Yeah, it was me. I decided to do a solo for that. That was on my little pea shooter trombone. It wasn't a bass trombone. It was like a more jazzy, solo-y, like
Oh, that's
thin
very cool.
sounding horn. Yeah.
I roomed with a trombonist, I think, in college. It's a very interesting instrument. Like I
Did
I
y'all did y'all play each other's instruments?
oh no. I'm not a brass person in the slightest. I'm like full percussion, but like
Mm.
just the whole concept, because it's like a slide whistle with with extra
A
steps, it
raspberry
feels
at the
like.
end. Yeah.
I don't know, like just casually to me, like the whole concept of like having an arm that you extend out and have to manipulate in that way, like how does
Mhm.
that work?
So, you know how if you look at a trumpet, they have valves and like the valves are different sizes?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
second valve is tiny and all that?
think so, yeah.
Well, if you look at a tuba, you'll notice that the consistency of the size, like the 1 to 10 ratio of a trumpet and a tuba's valves, they're kind of like in relation the same sizes. Like the second valve is the smallest one of the keys on the tuba. It's because pressing those valves down make the instrument longer, and it
Mm.
changes a note. So the way the trombone works is essentially the same way, except your valves are the like the plunger, right? And you move it back and forth, and
Oh, I see.
you're changing the length of your instrument just in a different way.
Mm.
So
Wow.
that's how they work.
It's interesting. Yeah, I wonder if I am too old to now go back and learn any sort of like woodwind or brass instrument like that. I remember
Never too old.
I
Never
remember,
too old.
when I was in my big band ensemble, we only had like so many trombone players every year. Like I think the most trombonists we had was like 3, I want to say, starting off my freshman year, but then it quickly shrunk to the point where we only had like, oh my god, I think at one semester we one of our saxophonists moved to the trombone for shits and giggles and stuck with it for the rest of the semester because we only had like one other good trombonist in the ensemble.
Yeah. So was it more of a combo kind of thing?
No, I want to say it was like we how to say, I want to say it was a full-fledged big band, but
Hmm.
obviously we were able to spin it off into various different combinations, like for different concerts.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
I was also in like jazz improv in college. I did a lot of that too, and honestly, I don't know. It's hard to say which I had more fun with because it's kind of like apples to oranges between like big band and jazz improv. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I really love like the spontaneity of like jazz improv and doing that sort of stuff. Like, have you been doing a lot of that in school? Like, do you know,
I
are you like more skilled in like sheet music?
I am definitely more skilled in like sheet music and the theory, but I did play in jazz bands since basically 8th grade.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
in 9th grade, I was actually in 2 jazz bands, one as a trombone player and another as a trumpet player. And then I was still playing French horn at that time. But my band director said after a few years, "Hey, I think you'd be a better trombone player than a French horn player." So then that became my main instrument in high school.
Well, there
Um,
you go.
and then from there, I was still in the jazz band. So yeah, I did a little bit of soloing, a little bit of structured stuff, and I think I prefer being in an ensemble rather than doing like solo or combo work,
That
because
makes
there's
sense.
less attention on me, and also like we can, it still has the wind ensemble vibe of being a cohesive whole altogether, right? Like playing your
Mm.
part well, messing with everyone. Like, I think that's
Yeah.
the most fun for me.
I will say there's something to be said about the sound of an orchestra at full volume. It's
Hmm.
it's been such a long time since I've had the opportunity to go see like a classical music concert, but I studied abroad. Like when I was in college, I want to say first semester junior year, I went abroad to Vienna and I got to study. Well, I was there primarily for a music history concentration, or rather to knock out my music history requirements for my major. Unfortunately, being a drummer, they didn't exactly offer anything in the realm of like rock or jazz drumming at the
Hmm.
Viennese Classical Conservatory. Um,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of fun getting to go there and listen to these professional operatic orchestras. Or I feel like I even see I don't know if I saw like the Viennese Philharmonic or what have you, but I do remember going to the Music Verein and seeing an orchestra that did a killer version of Mahler's Fifth. I
Oh.
Yeah, I love a lot of like especially late period romantic classical music. That's especially my jam. But I really do I don't know. I really do vibe with classical music. I just haven't had the I haven't had the opportunity to really, I guess,
Like,
get a live taste for it in a while.
you should. Do you still have your college ID?
um I don't think so. I mean, unfortunately, I am long graduated from college, and I've actually I'm only recently graduated from grad schools. But I don't know. Maybe that I could look into that, see if they have like discounts for alumni.
Yeah, because I remember while I was in college here, I was able to show my school ID and get quick tickets, like filled tickets that weren't filled in at the Austin Philharmonic Orchestra, and I
Oh
saw a
yeah.
couple of classic shows that were pretty awesome.
Oh, that's
Do you
cool.
know of Cameron Carpenter?
I don't think so.
He's like the modern new big thing in the organ world, the performing organ world. He's the first guy to perform on a completely mobile electric organ, and I saw him
Fascinating.
live playing Saint Signs, the organ movement number
Oh wow,
3.
that sounds awesome. I'll have
It's
to check it
it's
out.
I'll send it to you later. It's this really great example of a piece of American, like, creation, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the predecessor to uh the fanfare for the common man, the guy who did that.
Oh, I see. I see. That's cool. Yeah, what was it? I actually I interned some years ago for the New York Philharmonic. Not doing anything musically related, but like sort of, helping them with records and what have you. And I really do love just the entire history they've had with bringing all this incredible music to life over the years. I remember for that job having to go through like old like recordings that they used to do. I think they were digitized from like lacquer discs, like from back in the day, like old like how to say
Cylinders?
like yeah, not cylinders, but like very fragile sort of like early vinyl, like from the 20s and the 30s. And I remember going through that and having to mark down like time stamps for like each movement and like fill in a bunch of metadata for it essentially. And like just that was a fun process getting to go through and hear all this classical
You
music
listen
from
to
like
their whole
100 years
library?
ago. Not the whole library. Oh God, no! I would still be there if that were if that were the case.
No,
But
that'd be a great job though.
oh yeah, no, I'd love to work for like some professional or orchestra or like musical organization that's been around a long time. I'm sure they have like so much history that would need documenting.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh,
I guess I did used to think about trying to audition to work in an orchestra, like,
oh yeah.
but that you basically have to be some of like with at the same standards as some of the best in the world, because
Yeah, it is pretty
probably
high.
probably probably like if I were to go, and I'm in a more specialized instrument, right? Just not
Right,
as many
yeah.
people play bass trombone as say trumpet, but so the amount of jobs in professional orchestras in the world that I could look at are probably like two or three right now, and you have to beat
Yeah.
everyone else that's applying for that job.
Oh my god, yeah,
but
that's intense.
but if you ever could make it, it's a triple digit paycheck, like
Oh hell
salary.
yeah. Yeah. No, that explains why so many of the people that I remember from my who were at the Viennese Conservatory to study music, they went hard. They were some
Mhm.
incredible performers.
Yeah. I think anyone
uh,
can get there. You just have to practice 5 hours a day.
Oh yeah. My problem is, I'm a drummer and I still play the drums, for I'm in like two different bands in like the New York City area and it's a lot of fun, but my issue
Mhm.
is I'm a lazy cat boy, it's in the name, Rizzy or NG, what have you, but
Yeah.
I I don't know. I find it hard sometimes to stick with like a practice schedule. I have been trying recently, especially now that one of my bands has been more consistently practicing again. I have been trying to, get back with a more consistent practice regimen for the drums, but it's hard when you're, well, a working adult who's distracted by so many other things too.
Also, like it helps to know what you're practicing for,
Yeah,
right? So like having
absolutely.
a project, like working towards like something, like making something, or like I want to be as good as like what's the guy's name with the huge drum set? The punk looking
Uh
dude with the mullet. Terry Bozzio,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah. I was about
You,
to say you
you
could
could
have
get that.
described a million different drummers with that description, but
Well, I know they love their big sets.
yeah, yeah, no, like I
And because oh sorry.
I've had a lot of I've had a lot of fun these past. It's been almost like 14 years since I started learning the drums seriously, and
Mhm.
I don't know if I would put it down for good for anything in the world, but it's just that whole loss of motivation is a bitch, which is why I'm
Mhm.
glad, like I said, that one of my bands is getting super active again. We've got a gig at the end of the month, and hopefully we're gonna be getting a few more gigs before the fall ends. But it's good to have something to look forward to as a musician. It's good not to be stagnant.
Mhm. Just like with anything else.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm. Mhm.
do you do you play in any like casual bands or whatever yourself, or are you just like a classical ensemble sort of guy?
Well, I only really have access to ensembles when I'm in like furthering my education, so I'm hoping to go back to college next
Makes
year.
sense.
But I am in kind of a casual band, actually two, but one hasn't played in a while, actually ever. But we're trying to get out there. One is a Rush cover band, like tribute
Oh,
band.
nice.
So we play all Rush music. I'm playing the bass, guitar, and singing, and doing all the keyboard stuff. The Geddy Lee
Mhm.
package. Um, and then in another group is a newer original group. Uh, we're gonna be like prog metal, and
That's
we got
cool.
together yesterday actually, and like came up with the concept of like a song to put on our first album. That was fun.
Mm. Nice, nice. Yeah, like when we were talking a bit before, this stream, you mentioned how you love like prog metal, a lot of funk and
Mhm.
like complicated R&B and stuff like that too. What is it about like those complex genres that really draws you to them? Like, is it just like your I guess your knowledge as a musician and music theory that like really like interests you, or
Mhm.
like is it just like I don't know, just the whole monkey brain thing of oh my god, big notes in complex notes
Time
is
signatures, all that.
yeah, yeah, all that, yeah.
Well, I think it's a little bit of a mix of everything, because
Mhm.
I grew up with a musical dad, and he was really good. So like I got his genes from his loins. He offspringed me with some
Right,
knowledge
right.
or talent or what have you.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I grew up wanting to do something with music, and then uh, the more like I practiced and learned and listened to more music, because he also had a wall of tape decks that he would
Mhm.
play, like little tapes of bands before we had like CDs and stuff mainstream,
Neat.
and we would listen to all of those. So I listened to all of the like prog stuff that he liked and all that kind of stuff that was of the time, like Yes and the Police,
Mhm.
you know, like just like American classic rock and metal bands. So
Absolutely.
I was listening. Not only did I have a dad that passed on his musical genes to me, I was also listening to a lot of complex music that wasn't
Mm.
always on the radio all the time. Which I have a gripe about popular music that we can get into later. Um,
Ah, I
but
mean,
the
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna wrap it up and say, like, the reason that I always come back to like more complex, more challenging music is I like the creativity in it, and I like the time and effort that it goes in. Like the better a musician you are, the more you're able to focus on ideas rather than getting the technique to be able to pull something off. Right? It's like you're not
Mm,
you can play it. You can play at a level that you're not hindered by that in the creative process. You just focus
definitely.
on what sounds good and what can you do to make something cool and unique.
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of came to Prague in a similar fashion. I mean, my big I guess what got me into rock music in the first place was like rhythm games like Guitar Hero and Rock Band, but from there
Mhm.
that sort of blossomed into me developing essentially this encyclopedic knowledge of rock music before I graduated high school. And my dad was a big help in that as well. I remember coming to him one time and being like, Rush are the best progressive rock band out there. And he was like, yeah, they're fine, but have you heard of Yes? And then I got into Yes, and oh my fucking Lord in heaven, Yes were like a revelation to me. I
Mhm.
think I want to say I was like 12, 13 at the time. It was just like so yes, I think they were actually my first concert. I remember going to see them like back in I think 2009. They actually had it was like a dual tour. They had Asia opening for them. So like Steve Howe was pulling double duty. It
Mhm.
was a lot of fun. But yeah, no, prog music. I don't know exactly how. I don't really purport to follow like all the developments of modern prog, but I'm happy enough
Mhm.
nowadays to know that there are bands like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, for instance, that are
Yes. Yes,
you
they're
love them
good.
too. Like they're
I
fucking. I love them
the
so much.
I love him because the pianist, he's a really out there guy who has like this immense wealth of jazz knowledge, and he puts it all he too is unburdened by the technicality of playing piano, and but he's like he cranks up his creativity times 10, right? Like he does
Mm.
things with pianos that people don't do. Like one song he detunes, he like has an actual like wood piano with a harp in it, and he detunes all the strings so that it sounds like an old like Western player piano, and they just play out of tune and they make a song out of tune scales and notes and stuff.
Oh,
It's
that's
really
neat.
cool.
Check out
Mhm, mhm.
Koshin Mark. Welcome, P-Man Van. I will make note of that. I think you've recommended that in a past stream, but I'll definitely check it out. I just duck go them right real quick, and apparently, according to their Bandcamp, they're an enigmatic indie pop rock band. So I like that. I like that combination of words. I'll have
Mhm.
to look into that.
Data
um,
Rock is a good indie pop rock band as well.
which bands?
Data Rock. They
Data
do a
Rock.
good song. Yeah, they do a song called True Stories, which is pretty good.
Huh,
It's like
fascinating.
mocking the floating heads.
Hmm. I'll have to, I have to say I'm far more, I guess, attuned to modern like psychedelic rock than I am like progressive rock. Although there seems to be a lot of overlap recently. It feels like I don't know about you, but it feels to me like the the uh, the big, really, I guess, word of the day for rock music is synthesis, and that
Mhm,
like we live at a time now where you've got essentially the entire recorded history of music at your fingertips, and so
mhm.
there's a lot less stigma that in combining like various genres together. Like I think of
Yeah.
bands like Pond or Tame Impala or like even King Gizzard. Hell, like people who so liberally draw from multiple different genres and blend it together into a sound that's wholly unique to the present day. I love that shit.
You know who else does that is who did the album or the song Redbone? Childish
Redbone.
Gambino.
Yeah, yeah, Childish Gambino. I loved that album. That what was it? Awaken My Love. That was a fun album.
Yeah, he does a great blend of like Afro beats meets modern pop music.
Yeah,
Like it's just
yeah,
really interesting. He's also one of those
yeah.
out there dudes.
And you also love Thundercat too, right? I remember seeing a
Yes.
cover you did on your channel.
I covered him twice actually. He's a really good musician and bass player.
Oh yeah, no, I love his stuff. Like what was it? His album Drunk, fucking phenomenal album. And like
Hmm.
and then the album he did like a few years back, It Is What It Is. It's also really good, but it really gets heavy towards the end. I mean, that was what
Yeah.
was it? That was the album that he was like basically coping with the loss of Mac Miller, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah. Fucking hell. Thundercat is a phenomenal bassist. Like it's crazy, especially crazy to me knowing his history. Like he started off basically doing jazz stuff and playing metal and like suicidal tendencies, and he only got even more crazy from there.
He did a collab with under Adult Swim with Ariana Grande and do you know Dami and JD Beck?
Their names sound familiar. I'm not sure if I'm too familiar with
They're,
them, but
they're this piano and drum set playing duo who are ridiculously good. Uh, Dami is like a little tiny blonde girl who like goes crazy on the piano. It's like playing like 1,000 notes a minute, right? And
okay, yeah.
she's actually being taught by the pianist from Snarky Puppy. You know, so
That's cool.
that's like one of the legends, you know. And then JD Beck is
Hmm.
like this crazy. He can do anything on. He can play anything any as fast as you want on a bass drum, a snare drum, and a hi hat. Like that's it.
That's cool. Snarky Puppy, that's actually another band that I've seen live before. I remember they
They're
came to.
amazing.
Yeah, they're great. They came to King's Theater a few months ago. One of my cousins, he had like a spare ticket, and he was just like, "Hey, you live like 15 minutes away from here. You want to come through?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, okay, I'll do it." And apparently, what it was, it was like an entire night dedicated to the music of like what like Latin American women activists or something to that
Hmm.
extent. And like there was just like a bunch of these like jazz fusiony arrangements of like Latin American neo folk music, and it was really cool.
Mhm.
I love like the musicianship and like the spur of the moment arrangement mentality that they have. oh,
Yeah, like
I don't
they're
know
one of
exactly.
my.
Sorry, I don't know exactly how much of it was like spur of the moment. Obviously, they rehearsed it with their guests beforehand, but like it felt
Mhm.
like very alive, very you know, very dynamic.
Well, I know one thing about that band is, well, I know two things. One is the older gentleman that plays the tenor sax is the leader of the band, and he writes the music. Or I guess they all kind of do, but he like directs writing the music. And
Okay.
then two, they practice until they can't get the song wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like maybe they might improvise, but they're good enough that their improvisation is always perfect. Like they focus on like get performing what they want to perform, and they do.
Yeah,
They,
yeah, they lock the fuck in.
yeah, so that's my hope of being that level of professional musician with this group that I'm in right now, like just starting.
Oh hell yeah! I it's always it's always a good expectation to want to be tight with your band. You know, I'm thankful to be in a place currently with one of my bands at least where we meet. On a semi regular basis. We try to meet every week, if not every other week. Whereas
Mhm.
this other band I'm in, not to disparage them at all. We've been good friends. This is actually a band that we've kind of played in one configuration or another since college. Like these are my
Mhm.
college friends essentially. But the thing is, because we're all working adults now, sort of doing our own thing in New York City, it's hard to really find time for us to like rehearse and brush up on old songs and whatnot. So whenever we tend to play gigs, it's usually us calling upon like our history of having played those songs in the past, plus maybe one, two, or three new songs that we rehearsed like at a gig like maybe a week before. It's very informal, but somehow we still manage to pull it off. We've been playing together so many years. It's like we don't really need the rehearsal. It'd be nice to have though.
Mhm.
How's it going, Jukebox Cowboy? Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Good to see you as always.
Howdy, howdy.
Ah,
I was gonna
you know.
say, the thing I like to keep in mind about always being able to work on something or improve or start anything that you want to do. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
People like Marcus Miller, who wrote some of the greatest jazz charts. Been in the greatest bands and with the greatest
Mm-hmm.
musicians. He, I believe. Oh no, it was Charles Mingus. Charles Mingus got a degree in engineering or something like that, and like had a career alongside him, uh, playing music and doing all these amazing records and stuff like throughout his life. And then when he was old enough to retire, he just went and taught at Juilliard, as a retirement thing. Like
There you
I
go.
I think if you really love something and you want to do it and want to get better, you just make time for it because we're always going
Mm-hmm.
to be working, especially in this climate, you know. But
Yeah, no, for real. Like we're definitely in a place nowadays where it's a lot what it is to be a musician, to be like famous as a musician, to be influential, to be popular. It is a lot different than it was 50 years ago. Like
it's all
the
on social
internet has
media.
completely upended things.
Yeah. One upside of that is you don't have to pay $10,000 plus to a guy to produce your first EP, to be able to be on a record label. You could just do what Lil Nas did and pair your music with funny memes.
Absolutely, that's I love like the whole wave of like SoundCloud. Like I know it gets often disparaged, but like
Yeah.
the having like movements like SoundCloud rap or other like sort of very informal people that just like boot up like Fruity Loops
Hmm.
or Reaper or whatever DAW they use to essentially assemble like garage level beats and like productions. That's the heart of music, man. You know, that's
Mhm.
how new, I guess, aesthetics and new movements get invented.
With all that combination and remixing and all that kind of stuff
Mm-hmm,
of
mm-hmm.
old and new music.
Absolutely. And I guess that kind of leads on to talk like, how did you learn to mix? Because obviously, you do a bunch of covers and whatnot on your channel.
Mhm.
You've had to have gotten good at to some extent with vocal mixing by now. How did you really get into that?
Okay, so I didn't get into mixing very much until I had done a little bit of theater, right? So the first time I touched a control board for mixing was like to
Oh, you were a sound guy.
be. Yeah, I was partially the theater tech, and I would learn to mic up people and get their levels even and all that kind of stuff. So that
Oh,
was kind
that's
of like
neat.
my very first intro to it. And then my dad was around like studio guys who owned like there was a guy that owned an old health clinic, but it was
Oh
cleared out,
yeah.
and he built sound rooms and stuff in it. Like that's where they would go and record stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he would show me like his big board that cost like $20,000 and all that kind of stuff. And uh, there was a self destruct button, which apparently deletes all the data
Oh
that
my
I wasn't
god.
allowed to touch. So it's fun times just kind of looking at them
Right,
mix.
right.
So actually, when I got into VTubing is when I started mixing vocals more,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, oh well, I can make music. Maybe I can help like help people get mixed or do instrumentals for like karaoke covers or whatever. So I started doing that,
Definitely.
and my mixing over the years has become stronger just by
Oh
working
hell
with so
yeah.
many different voices and people
Absolutely.
and stuff.
Welcome,
Mhm.
21st century guy. Sorry for not saying hi to you immediately, but welcome to the stream. Hello, Resian friend. This is Shino. He's an atomic delinquent VTuber, radioactive delinquent VTuber.
Mhm.
Whatever synonym you want to use. He's
I'm a
atomic.
molecule.
He's he's bouncy.
Yes. Hello.
uh Yeah, what was I gonna say? That's cool though. I've always wanted to get better and improve my game with mixing. It's just, you know, again, lazy orange cat boy. It's hard
Mhm.
to really find the commitment and motivation to do that when I'm only, doing these. I've released covers on my channel, but only every few months or so. Really, if anything, to like hype up a new video essay I'm doing.
Mhm.
But it is interesting, like getting the right sort of sound you want, or how to
Mhm.
say. I don't know entirely if I'm able to, get a perfect vocal mix, but I'm able to, at this stage, shape up things in such a way that, at least it won't overly, clip.
Mhm. Yeah. No, that's good. And everything takes practice, right? So the less we do things, the less we retain from it. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Uh,
it's a learning curve, just like anything else. So I think the more someone does something, they'll get better at it. So don't lose hope.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's that, and then there's also, mixing drums too, because I do vocal and drum covers.
Yeah.
I record drums through MIDI. I've got like a MIDI USB input thing that
Mhm.
I'm thankful to live in an apartment where I have enough space to set up an electronic drum kit, and it's basically like right next to my PC. So I'm
That's
able to
good. That's good.
yeah, I mean, I'm able to easily like record MIDI inputs into a DAW, and obviously like mix the samples and whatnot. It's just harder to
Stream.
Yeah, no, well, not stream, but like get it. I don't know, like I feel like that's one of those things where I need to get a lot more granular with the mix. And I like to think that the mixes I do are, fine as is, but it's just, I don't know. It suffices, you know?
Mhm. Well, I have no experience with mixing electronic drums.
Yeah, I, I was gonna ask, like, as
I
you
would.
as you get I guess as you improve as a mixer, are there any like areas in terms of like specific instruments that you want to improve on?
Well, I'm a little bit at a disadvantage in this VTubing space compared to other uh, music uh, musicians or like producers. Yes,
Yeah.
because they a lot of them work with MIDI, and I'm more of a live, like analog instrument player. So I
Oh,
record a lot of
okay.
my stuff. Like if I had a synth patch, I wouldn't be putting it through MIDI and lining it up perfectly. I'd be playing it on the keyboard. I'd be performing it to record. So
Oh,
I
okay.
I don't really know MIDI enough to be comfortable offering it as a commission at the moment. But I think on the reverse side of that coin, I kind of have an advantage because my music instantly sounds more like with the human feeling to it, right?
Mhm.
Especially when a lot of people have a lot of electronic stuff that is always around. Like it's all digital and electronica and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people can't do different things when it comes to music producing, so I guess I have an advantage with that.
Yeah. Electronic drums are usually pretty easy to mix due to the built-in tone and direct signal. Yeah, I guess to a certain extent that's I mean it's easy to sort of shape the overall sound, but like I don't know, my issue is just like I need to be a lot more patient with mixing things, I think, because I'm not good with, going in and knowing there's like a million different pieces that I need to bounce right or the entire thing's going to collapse in on itself, you know? That's
Uh,
my problem.
if I were to take a guess on how to approach electronic MIDI drums, I would try to map out each drum sound to a different armed track in the mixing
Yeah,
program,
yeah.
and
No, I
try
know like
try.
in the programs that in the DAW that I do use Reaper, whenever I bring up like the MIDI what is it? The VST that I use, whenever I bring that
Mhm,
up, it gives me the option to like put all the different tracks on an individual arm.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, and then after that, I would try to like add one effect at a time and move all the sliders and see what the sound changes, right?
yeah,
And
yeah. I
and
mean, I
if
know
if
one
there's
thing
something
for
I.
certain. I know one thing for certain. A good friend of mine, Noriboshi Ariel, taught me it's always good to compress snare drums and bass drums at least. So
Mhm.
there you go. Free point of advice, I guess.
Yeah, Nori's great too.
Oh hell yeah! You're also a good friend of hers, or you also know
We
her.
Yeah, we know each other. We almost did a project together, but I think Nori took a step back for a while.
Oh,
Um,
that's fair. Yeah,
but I do like what she does. She's a really good singer and musician too.
absolutely. I always love a VTuber that incorporates, not just their love of the medium and like of anime and all that, but of course their own musical influences like metal and prog, and she does a lot of that stuff really well.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, um, I guess to that extent, I want to ask,
Hmm.
what do you want to achieve as a musician in the VTuber space? Like, are there any dream collabs you have? Any goals you want to perform in like a concert?
You know, I think I have a couple of goals, and while I don't necessarily have a perceived end to creating. Like whether or not I'm a VTuber, I'll still probably find a way to make music.
Hmm.
But I think a goal for VTubing specifically is maybe being part of a concert. Like there was recently V Unity Live,
Oh
where
yeah,
one of my best friends performed in it,
that was the
Sagi,
big
and
indie concert, right?
yeah, hosted by Sylvie, and
Right, right, yeah.
yeah. So seeing that was like my first live VTuber concert, so that was like really hype, and my friend was in it, and she was super happy and made new friends and stuff. And I was like, if I could do that, I think I'd retire happy. Like
Mm,
that's a good achievement to make it. And then
absolutely.
a more personal goal, I think, as a VTuber would be to release a completely original track, like a Vocaloid or other like voice synth program track where I do the instrumental lyrics, maybe not the translation, but I work with the Vocaloid like program. I make the music video because I'm also developing art, right? Like just drawing digital art.
Yeah.
So I'm able to edit videos. I've made music videos for other creators as commissions. So I'm trying to do an all-encompassing thing where
Jack of all
I
trades
learn.
sort of deal.
Yeah. So like the ultimate goal is to make something at a production level of like a Deco 27 Miku song, or like one of those other like Canaria,
Oh
right?
yeah,
I
absolutely.
want to make a couple of those. That would be
That'd be
the
really
goal.
cool. I
Yeah.
I always love, seeing VTubers that are really skilled in, not just music but graphic design, really go ham on their own material. That is the sort of multi-talented, multimedia approach to content creation that just always leaves me awed.
hmm
I'm
And
a, I,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
like I was just gonna say the people that are the best at it are the ones that inspire the most, like others to
Hmm.
do the same thing.
Absolutely. And I do what I can. I like to think that, I I am my own person, I love editing videos and I don't know, just really talking and sharing musical opinions more than I do like being a consistent entertainer or like streamer, right?
hmm
So that's my lane, that's my wheelhouse, but I am I
Yeah. No,
wish, I
that's
wish that I wish that I'm always trying to better myself and, absorb some sort of skills that'll make me the best I want to be in my particular lane because, those
mhm.
people who continue to, push the medium and incorporate and learn all these different skills to incorporate into their content. They're so fucking inspirational, man.
Yeah, and not only that, but they're good at other things too, like marketing themselves, which I'm
Yeah.
still working on.
I will
you know.
say, like, I don't know. I guess I feel like for VTubers, like, it depends on your goal of what you want to achieve. Like,
Yeah,
if,
there's
like,
plenty of casual people as well.
yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I hate. I'm the sort of person who hates playing to like algorithms or anything like that. I very
Mhm.
rarely do like VTuber trends on Twitter. If there are networking threads, I'll be like I'll give them a side eye and not even really interact with them. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm just like very I don't know. It's
Are you introverted?
it's hard to be like yeah, like it's hard to be an introvert in like a very go-getting like space where you have to like put yourself out there, like being like the VTuber community, it's like
Mhm.
you're always having to sell yourself. And I'm fine with selling myself to some degree. You know, I want some eyes on my content after all, but it's just like
Mhm.
the what people do, like the how often they grind themselves to their bone just for, you know, a chance of getting like something to blow up for them. It's
Well, that's why we try to be the best that we can, because the better we are and the more entertaining we can be, the less we have to play to the algorithm and grind, you know.
yeah, yeah.
So just make something good and people will show up.
Yeah, I mean that's just my hope right now. You know, I don't know how much of I don't know how much of my content you've watched before the stream. You don't have to flatter me and say if you watched all of it, but like it's like
Mhm.
my recent video essays. Like they take a really long time to make. Like I'll do the research for them. I'll do the scripting, I'll do the editing, and by the end of that entire process, like months have gone by and I haven't really done anything for the algorithm aside from maybe these streams, you know, or like the occasional cover. So, and that works for me. Like I've built my own decent community doing that sort of thing. I'm really happy about that, but it's just like
Mhm.
it sucks if you like it sucks starting off like if that's the sort of content you love, like making long form stuff. I'm
Yeah.
ultimately hoping I'm ultimately hoping my channel is the sort that'll have like a long tail, like where if people discover me, they'll be inspired to like hop over to another video essay I've done. But you know, it's all that's all in the future. That's all up in the air.
Yeah, there's different ways to do different content, right? Like
Hmm.
there's the performer, idol, content creator kind of vibe, but there's also like the quiet community. Like my wife likes to watch a lot of crocheting and knitting videos,
Oh yeah.
and they're always like quiet communities, but they're still, you know, they've done it for years and they're big. And it's like if you stick with if you stick with one thing, then you know the people that look for that content will find you, and the algorithm will catch you and recommend it to other people who watch
Definitely.
the same kind of thing. So like people who like writing and all that kind of stuff, you know, the like critical thinking type people, like I feel like they, you know, it fits one path. Like they're all probably more quiet and studious than like a lot of people who watch VTubers, right? Because a lot
Yeah,
of them
yeah.
are like for drama and stuff. Um, you know, that's a whole can of worms to get into some
Yeah,
other time.
yeah, yeah. But how to
But yeah, it's
say?
all about learning how to play your particular part of the game.
Yeah, yeah. And
You gotta
honestly,
find out what they like.
having been like a VTuber for almost 3 years at this point, I'm happy to have just settled into. No, I guess not even a community man. I'm more of a hermit, if anything. I don't really participate in many like discords or like I said trends or anything like that. You know, I'm not keeping up to date on like the VTuber hashtag on Twitter or Blue Sky or anything like that. I just sort of do my own thing and like try to slot myself into my own niche in the community. And
Well, you're
I mean, I've
probably a lot
always
better mentally off than most Twitter users.
yeah,
Just throwing that
yeah.
stuff by.
I mean, I don't begrudge anybody who decides to go that way and you know grind for their fame and stuff. Like I I definitely support them in doing that if they can stomach that. That's not easy, and I respect anybody who's willing to you know grind it out and make VTubing you know their profession. It's
Yeah.
really inspirational. Old man Resi telling the kids to get off his lawn. Oh my god. I mean, I kind of feel that way too. The rate this fucking community is growing. Like we're getting new VTubers every other day or
Mhm.
every hour. I don't know. I don't know the rate of growth of the indie VTuber community, but like there
It's
is
saturated.
there are so many more people than there were like just 3 years ago. It's nuts.
Yeah. I wonder
Uh,
if there's an aggregate guess to it.
I don't know. I'd say probably at least over 5,000, give or take. I don't know. You could probably fill a convention with VTubers at this point.
There are over 49,500 active VTubers live streaming on Twitch and YouTube live gaming in 2023.
Fascinating.
So more than that now.
Yeah. So I don't know.
3 years ago there were 10,000.
It was a lot. It's been a lot of people coming through in that time.
Mhm.
You know, you see a lot of people saying stuff about how, like, oh my god, in anime cons, they shouldn't be having so much VTuber stuff. Like, VTubers are like anime nowadays. No, I mean, it's
Yeah, it's
presumptive
part
of
of
me
the
to
culture.
it's presumptive of me to say because I haven't really been keeping up with much anime since, watching VTubers, but it
No
feels
time.
like it just feels like being a VTuber, or not even being a VTuber, just like watching VTubers and watching anime is not that different of an activity. It's just there's a lot
Mhm.
more improvisation with VTubers.
It's more personal. It's you get to talk to the person and all that kind of stuff. So you get to play for some creators. You get to play into the parasocialism aspect to it. It's definitely an evolving thing that's not going away anytime soon. Like
Yeah.
it's just been growing since it started like 10 years ago.
Desperation is palatable. Well, I don't know if I'd call it desperation so much as people, trying to mine for mine
Mine for
increasingly
diamonds.
for distinct need. Yeah, it's like the more people come through, the harder and harder it's gonna be to like find different niches.
Yeah, so
I
you either find a super succinct niche or you do something better than most other people. And I know I'm not funnier than like a million people on Twitch, right? So I might as well use my creativity.
yeah.
But you play to your
Or
strengths.
somehow the algorithm finds you and blesses you with some sort of traction. It's a
It
very luck based game.
it 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 could be, but I do find myself getting tired of that adage because a lot of people also use it as an excuse. There is luck,
Yeah,
yes, but you control things that are controllable by you, right?
you make your
So
own luck, of course.
you think of it like statistics. It's like you might have a 0.001 chance of making it big or being seen by another huge creator, but if you make good quality content, you lower that or you raise that percent chance by like 0.005, right? So
Absolutely, yeah,
every little bit matters. You gotta play a game. if
yeah,
if that if
yeah,
that is your goal, if that is your
yeah,
goal.
yeah. I think your inclination to stick to your guns is healthy. Well, thank you, Jukebox Cowboy. I definitely try to not stress myself out too much about content. You look at all those videos of creators, discussing their burnout and how being on
Mhm.
YouTube for years and being a content creator has, really, really ruined their psyche. It really does speak to me that I shouldn't be taking this whole thing too seriously. I mean,
Mhm.
God bless the people who do. I don't know if I ever could.
Mhm, mhm. And that's fair.
Hmm. What was I? Let me see here. Uh, so I guess something funny, a funny experience I had before stream. Watching your channel like with a mix. I was sort of doing some exercise or whatever.
Mhm.
Stretch the muscles or whatever, and had like a playlist of your music on, and there was a
Mhm.
cover you did of Gojira where you were like screaming and stuff, and that sounded fucking killer, by the way. But
Oh, thank you.
then, thank you, yeah, no problem, no problem. But then after it ended, it immediately switched to this like cover of like a like Harambe song like themed around a pirate rap, and I was just like,
Harambe the
wow.
Pirate Gorilla.
Wow. So obviously you've got your toes dipped in several different ponds at once. Like how is that sort of balancing all those different elements on your channel? Like is there like have you found a crowd that are willing to, go for like I guess prog and metal and funk as much as they are, all those other
Well, I was thinking about it recently, because I think one of my own goals is to grow to a good size. I think, because more I can entertain more people that way. So I kind of
Right.
gave, I kind of gave myself a goal this year to be uh, more introspective with like learning how to help your YouTube channel grow, or knowing what's good and what's not good to put in, like the details, like the description and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, so can you remind me of the question again, real quick, please?
It just like 1 second. Like how I don't know, how is it really to have like
Oh,
as a creator to have your toes dipped in so many different genres at once?
yes. So, yes, thank you. So where I was going with that was I decided to make two channels because I learned that having one type of content helps a YouTube channel grow more than a variety, quote unquote,
Mhm.
channel, right? So like you have your VTubing stuff, you have your music stuff, you have your, React content stuff all on one channel.
Right.
It'll actually do worse than if all you had three channels dedicated to one of those things. So I'm trying that. I used to have one channel for everything, my music and my VTubing, like clips and VODs and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But as soon as I made that second channel and privated all my old content stuff and made my original channel a music channel, it actually got like 4 or 5 more subscribers that day.
Oh wow.
So it's like I'm learning on how to juggle all my different things by learning, after trying all these different things, streaming included, what I want to
Right.
focus on,
Mhm.
for myself and my own content. So I think that
Mhm.
is YouTube videos and maybe some art streaming. So I
Absolutely.
decided okay, I'm gonna try this, and I'm gonna put music on one channel and put like maybe talking points or other reaction content on another channel, and it's kind of organized some of the things that I can do at least on that end. And then
Mm.
for things that I want to do for art, like getting better at, my art creativity and technique, I'll stream instead of, because I'm ADHD. We talked
Yeah.
about this,
It's all
but
good.
like I'm not as good at performing as I am planning content. So like YouTube
Mhm.
just seems more geared towards my strengths. So I'm gonna, because I want to grow, because I want to do play to my strengths. I'm gonna try it that way, and see where it goes, instead of having, because up until probably like 6-8 months ago, I was trying to stream a lot and follow the conventional VTuber paths, but I
Right,
did a
yeah.
rebrand. I took some time off. Actually, I probably have done less things than I've spent more time not doing things than doing things as a VTuber. But it's okay, because I have a succinct plan now to move forward and figure out where I want to put all the different ideas that I have. And that includes learning your social medias and
Oh
what goes on,
yeah.
what works on what platforms, and all that, everything, and blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, brother. Now trust me, that was me like 3 years ago too. I sort of had my own road to Babylon moment. Like after a few months of trying to be, the variety gamer, music reviewer, VTuber, streamer that, I
Yeah.
thought, people wanted in the community. I was just feeling very burnt out, and I was like, you know, I really do like editing clips and videos. Why don't I refocus on a more long form, sort of content schedule?
Yeah, yeah. And I have a fun little piece of data for you. For long form content, quote unquote, which is videos that are longer than 10 minutes, your ideal minimum upload rate for actual growth would be 3 every month. So it's not like you have to post every day. Just get that bag, work on your stuff how you want to work on it, and and I think it'll work out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
Especially
I
if you're happy with the stuff you're making.
yeah, I'm the thing is, I don't feel like I don't feel like I can rely on YouTube for growth, at least with the sort of content I make, because in the first place, I all my videos always get demonetized, and I've come to make peace with that because as like a music historian sort of content creator, like I play a lot of clips of copyrighted music in my videos and stuff, and I've learned to make peace with the fact that if I'm going to try and show like specific examples of throughout the video, like included as background music, that's going to get copyright struck. Well, not struck, but like AdSense spots are going to
Yeah.
go off and I'm not going to make any money from it. So that's why I decided then to create additional streams of revenue on Ko-fi, on Patreon. I don't know.
Mhm.
I've learned not to put all my eggs in the YouTube basket.
Yeah, and that's a good idea. More people make more money through merch and other deals rather than like subscriptions on any platform.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I can get to a point where I can put out merch. That'd be sick. I've what was it? I actually recently put together a cosplay of my VTuber avatar that I've been taking around places. And it was fun
Nice.
getting to design the well, I say design. I literally just took the PNG I used and slapped it on, a custom jacket template. But
We all start somewhere.
I ordered that jacket. I'd love to put out a line of like Resi hoodies. That'd be really fun.
Mhm. Yeah,
uh,
follow your dreams. Do it.
You mind if I go and get some water real quick? I think I'm running out here. My
Yeah,
tumbler.
if I could take a short bathroom break.
No
We're gonna do
problem.
5 minutes.
Yeah, let's take 5, I guess. I'm going to put up my water glass, and I will be right back.
Okay, me too.
And I'm back. Hello, welcome everybody. How's it going? I've returned. Seems our guest is still away for a bit, so hello chat. How are you guys doing tonight? Y'all chilling? How's your Sunday night treating you? Guess I had to look at the day. I don't know. I'm feeling hungry. I'm hoping to have a pretty nice dinner after the stream. Oh yeah. Have you guys seen there's a new I've been working doing research for work. Oh, that's cool. Hope that's going well for you, 21st century guy. Have you guys heard? There's Judas Priest. He recently remastered Rock'n'Rolla, their debut album, and it sounds phenomenal. Like, I'm not kidding. It's a definitive upgrade over the original. Like, it's what Rock'n'Rolla would have been if Roger Bane wasn't caught sleeping. You know, like it's not going to. Oh, welcome back.
Hi. What was going on? What were you talking about?
I was just talking about the latest. I don't know how much you know about Judas Priest. They recently remastered their debut album Rock'n'Rolla and put it out for its 50th anniversary, or at least on streaming. Their vinyl remaster isn't coming out till November, but it sounds like so much better than the original. The thing with Rock'n'Rolla, you know, it was back in the day when heavy metal was still finding its footing stylistically as, you know, a distinct genre apart from like rock music. And so, like, you know, people were still, you know, very heavily influenced by psychedelic rock, by blues rock. And, you know, that first Judas Priest album is very much that. And it was actually produced by the guy who produced, like, the first 3 Black Sabbath albums, Roger Bane. But somehow, I don't know, Roger Bane really fucked up the production work on that album and just completely screwed over the band. So, like, the original, I don't know, the original album is just, I think there's a kernel of a good heavy metal album in it. But, you know, a lot of people think it's, you know, it's not one of Priest's better albums. But the recent reissue they did of it is phenomenal. Fucking great.
Yeah.
I guess something I was wondering, you know, when I was going to get some water, circling back to, you know, you know how to scream vocally. That's how much.
I'm still new to it.
Well, how much of a challenge was it to sort of tap into it from like your normal singing voice? Because that's something I've never quite, you know, had the skills or desire to really dive into myself. But yeah.
Well, I just like most anything nowadays, I Googled it, and I came across a female metal screamer singer that did like a kind of 3-step how to get into screaming, and it's basically like if you do an exasperated sigh, like like that, you just continue that and you support just like you would play through a wind instrument, like you just tighten your core and make that stream consistent, and you can grow that into a larger growl and eventually a scream that you can use and move it around to change it to note and all that kind of stuff. So
oh, see, that makes sense. That's cool.
And people don't realize too when they first start is you're not really using your voice so much as you're using like a different section of your throat, right? So like that's why everyone always tells you like not to force it, because you should still be relaxed and have like certain muscles working in a proper way so that you don't like strain your voice, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you can, it might happen the first few times. It did for me, and it was kind of tough at the beginning because I did like try to force it because I didn't really understand the technique. Um,
Yeah.
but once you got it, then it's easy to get back into. So it's just like working a different muscle.
Interesting. I've really respected the talent that goes into screaming. Like I mean, personally, I've never been a fan of like most music that involves screaming, but like just the technique involved and the power, like
Mhm.
it's definitely a certain skill that, when used properly in the right musical context, can put a song over the edge. Like
Mhm.
I think, I think the screaming in music I like the best is like when like it's in a prog metal epic or whatever. Like between the Buried in Me and like Opeth and bands like that, like that shit rules, I think. But like
Mhm.
otherwise, I don't know. I'm not that into like like screamo or like black metal or, God forbid, crunkcore. But
Well, Gojira, the ones that opened for the French Olympics.
right.
Uh, the singer is actually one of my biggest inspirations, and his version of screaming is just like like yelling with a little bit of grit. So it's
Oh
like
yeah.
even a different style of like metal screaming, and
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
he just combines it with his voice when like the classic quote unquote idea you would come up for metal screaming is using that air and that gravelly part of your voice instead.
Yeah.
So there's different ways to do it. So again, it's like another tool you can use to be creative in music.
Hmm. See, like, what is it? Gojira is one of those bands that I wish I had more time to get into. I'm sure at some point I will, but like I'm
Mhm.
only really familiar with From Mars to Sirius, that album with like the whales and stuff.
Oh yeah.
That slaps. Uh,
Hmm.
I have to take a listen to that. I'm never on the money when it comes to remasters. It'll be a month or two before a remaster came out, except for Weezer and Evanescence. I mean, same.
Weezer, man.
I don't really claim to follow many album remasters. Oh my god, Weezer though, there. What a band, Weezer. I used to
Hmm.
be really obsessed with them back like right at the end of high school, like early college.
Yeah, it's like the 90s 2000s like nostalgic kind of vibe, positive rock.
Yeah. Resi Crunkcore Arc when? Oh god. Never. I mean, I did have it as a charity incentive, right? At For the Internet Archive stream I did like a few months back. The max dono goal I had was, if that were met, I would do a tier ranking stream for Broken Side.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that didn't come to pass, or I guess
No.
fortunately for my sanity, that didn't come to pass. But
Yeah.
there was this other channel on YouTube that does really good like music video essay content called Still Gray. I think they did well. Actually, I want to make sure I'm recommending that right. What?
Mhm.
Uh, I think their name is Still Gray. Is it?
Let's see.
Uh, wrong. For I'm terribly sorry.
No worries.
Gray Mads, that is what I'm thinking of. It's not Still Gray, it's Gray Mads. Oof. They
Gray
did a
Mad.
fantastic video recently, What the Hell Was Crunkcore, that explained the genre better than I ever could have. I was never there. I was never like a crunkcore kid. I was one of those awkward teenagers that was just sort of sitting to the side watching these white dudes scream over trap beats, and I was just like, what the fresh hell is this?
I'm taking a little listen.
Oh my god. Wait, you've never heard of Broken Side before this?
No.
Well, oh
Or
my god.
Crunkcore.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I learned about I learned about atomic core, which was like kind of drum and bass in like polyrhythms, but the sounds are also made out of random noises.
Oh,
Like that was pretty interesting.
that sounds interesting at least. I don't
Very
like Weezer Man.
avant-garde, non-musical.
Mm,
Definitely for a musician, music. Like I don't think the general
yeah.
public would really like it.
I don't like Weezer Man. I think they have only one song I like from them, and everything else I'm like, this is obnoxious.
Blah 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 blah.
The thing I will say about Weezer, you know,
Uh, Buddy
they
Holly.
had a really, really good fucking thing going for their first two albums. Maybe even like the Green Album and Maladroit, if you want to extend them that much grace.
Mhm.
When they really lean into their inclinations of being that nerdy, you know, sort of awkward band, that's when I think they really sort of stink. And it just so happens that they've done that far more often than not in their career. Like I thought they would sort of get a bit more serious with Everything Would Be All Right in the End, and even like the White Album was pretty good to a certain extent. But like when they started, you know, releasing covers, when they did that fucking Africa cover, like, oh my god, why did
I
they
didn't hear
think?
that.
I mean, yeah, it was like a thing where like some person was tweeting at them like, "Hey, Weezer, cover Africa or whatever," because you know this was like peak at the time where that was going around the new meme song, and then Weezer were like, "Okay, bet," and that became like a hit for them, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, we are living in a time of of musical bankruptcy.
Yeah, I mean that's all. Like the moral bankruptcy is also happening kind of in the video game sphere as well.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know, as
I will say, I don't think all popular music is bad necessarily. I'm sure there are like there are popular artists out there that I find to be very interesting. I mean, I keep tabs on them thanks to like Todd in the Shadows primarily, but like I don't know, to blanket condemn all popular music as like not interesting or not musical or anything. I don't know. That doesn't so much interest me nowadays, but just like at the same time, there are just extremely cynical moves still being made in the music industry, in like certain pop songwriters circles. It's so hilarious to watch. That Africa cover was kind of one of them, but it also hurt because I thought, you know, that was the period I thought, you know, Weezer, they might actually take themselves seriously again after like a decade of being kind of a joke. But then they were just like, no, we'll fucking give you, we'll give you a joke. We'll give you fucking Africa. I'm sorry, I ramble too much, but that is
okay.
to say,
It sounds like you might be disappointed just a little bit.
oh yeah, I don't know. Weezer are I definitely love their first two albums, but I don't know if I could ever, you know, really take them seriously as a band ever again. The new John Anderson is remarkable. Is John Anderson releasing solo music? I haven't kept up with anything like that.
Yeah, I just play video games now. I don't know what new or old artists are doing.
Yeah.
You listen and share to a lot of music, especially in your developmental years with when you're around like people are your peers, right? But I mean, it is easier to share music now, but like you don't know what's hit.
I don't know how to say it's. I used
Unless
to
you
be
listen to
a
radio.
lot better about. It used to be a lot better about like listening to either new music or just like old music that I had never heard before. I used to be a lot better about that back when I was like, I guess not even when I was in college. Because I was doing a lot better job of that a few years ago. But I feel like ever since the pandemic, you know, I've just sort of been sapped of, you know, and the energy to, you know, keep up and stay tuned in, you know. I'm happy with, you know, the artists that I've discovered, and, you know, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. If it makes you happy, then it's good.
and especially with King Gizzard, because Jesus fucking Christ, like they deliver like
They
they
always
deliver
win.
like a year's worth of music like every fucking month, and it's like, how can I listen to anything else, you know?
Hmm, hmm. Do you ever listen to songs for like a month and you can't listen to them for 2 months?
I I don't know if I've had a song like that recently, but I do remember like years ago, like I used to be like a sad, kind of pathetic little middle schooler who thought Eric Clapton's situation with Patty Boyd kind of related to his own life. So there came a time in my life where I used to listen to like Eric Clapton or Derek and the Dominoes' Layla every night before bed.
Hmm.
And you know, I still love that song for the record. It's a fucking banger. But
Yeah.
that was just that was a period of my life where I was just like obsessed with that sort of sentimental, like old sort of classical rock music, I guess.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
uh Newish artist I got into was Laufey. If you like jazz, bossa nova, and pop, she's one to look into. Interesting. I'll write her down. I haven't really listened to much jazz on my own time. You much of a jazz fan? Like,
Yeah, I played jazz a lot, so I got
right,
to listen.
right.
Like even if I just looked by the artist that I played the sheet music for, like the original artist, like
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
I still learned a lot of names that are like big in jazz, like Marcus Miller, the Bird,
mm-hmm.
um, uh, what's the blind dude's name? Mike something.
Ray Charles?
Ray Charles, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's
um,
yeah, it's a
this.
long fucking history with jazz music. I can't claim to have listened to like all jazz ever, but you know, I definitely have an affinity for jazz fusion. If anything, that is my favorite genre of jazz. If only because,
Mhm.
you know, it's partly the most accessible. I mean, it's basically just jazz music fused with funk and rock and all that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of fun to be had with it. But
Mhm.
I don't know though. There's I would I don't know how much you're familiar with Miles Davis's discography, but a few years back, what was it? I had the opportunity to do this internship where essentially I was like collecting these Miles Davis, you know, tracks from his albums, you know, for
Mhm.
trumpet samples to program this AI to recognize like trumpet signal or whatever. I don't know. It's a huge project that I wasn't exactly privy to all the details for, but I got to listen to a
Mhm.
lot of Miles Davis back then, and that was really fun getting to hear him develop
Nice.
from how he sort of started off as this like cool jazz bebop trumpeter into becoming this freaky experimentalist like in the 60s. I mean, my work unfortunately didn't take me that far, but you know, I'm familiar enough with stuff like In a Silent Way and like Bitches Brew to know that, oh my god, like Miles Davis's electric period was just completely all
Something
over
else.
the place.
Yeah. I
uh,
uh I do like a good jazz band. One of my favorite out there bands, since you like more experimental stuff in jazz,
oh yeah.
uh, have you heard of the Mahavishnu Orchestra?
Oh yeah, yeah. They're John Laughlin's group, right? He and what's his face?
Uh,
The drummer, who's
Billy
is it
Cobham.
Billy Cobham. Yeah, I love his drumming.
Yeah,
Billy
he's
Cobham.
amazing. He probably has one of the fastest singles in like any jazz drummer artist I've seen.
Oh yeah, he's great. There's this one instrumental of his. I forget what it was. I think it's like Sirius or Stratus, or it begins with an S, something to that degree. And I remember being exposed to it, like when I, oddly enough, this was at a period where I was like taking guitar lessons, trying to get into the guitar, and my guitar instructor like completely turned me on to this album, and because the interesting thing, it was like, what was it? The guy Tommy Bolin, like Deep Purple guitarist for like a year or so at one point in the 70s. He just completely shreds on this Billy Cobham track, and it's great.
Yeah.
uh,
It-
um,
good musicians all around.
mhm,
Like when you're good
mhm.
enough to be in those circles, you get to meet some of the greats.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
change music with them.
God, yeah. I've always wanted to. I've wanted to learn guitar for a while. Hearing stuff like that, especially, it makes me,
Just go do it. Go buy a guitar at pawn shop. Get a 30
See,
watt amp.
the thing is, I do actually have a guitar of my own. My mom, for my birthday a few years ago, bought me like a Telecaster. So I have like something that I'll be able to practice at some point on, but it's just like finding the free time in which to do it.
10
And,
minutes on the weekend.
Yeah, and just like, I don't know, like, for me, I find it easier to practice to like rhythm and like just sort of focusing on that, as opposed to doing rhythm and the tonal stuff all at once and like moving scales up and down the neck. It's
Oh, that kind of practice is boring after a while. Like,
yeah.
I did a little bit of lesson teaching as well when I was in college, like at local high schools and stuff.
Okay.
And I told people, if you really want to learn how to have fun on your instrument, like make practicing fun and something that you do more often. Play music that you want to learn how to play, right? Like don't just
Yeah.
practice scales and arpeggios forever, because that doesn't get you to a goal, right? It's like,
Right.
oh, I wanted to learn how to play bass and sing at the same time, so I just threw myself at Rush for like a year, and I was able to eventually do it.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta prioritize what to practice rather than practicing and expecting to get better, right?
Yeah,
You know?
but I feel like at the same time doing that, like, only if you only focus on songs you want to play, eventually like you're not gonna have like the technique to really expand, your vocabulary much beyond like what you've heard. Like, I think that it's good to really strive for a balance of both. Yeah,
There, yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
there's a balance to be found. Uh, and yes, technique does play a part in it. Like if you get stuck on something and you're not able to play like a certain part of your song, knowing how to practice is more valuable than practicing to me
Yeah,
as well, right? So it's like, okay, how do you approach a problem? Like your problem is
yeah,
20% technique, or no, uh, 80% technique, 20% repetition, right? Like the 80-20
yeah.
rule. So as soon
Mhm.
as you get that down, like you slow it down with a metronome and practice that fast part or that riff or that fill, and then you can gradually speed it up again. Once you can do it at speed, then 80% of your problem is gone, and it's
Mm,
just repetition that will solidify your mastery of that thing
definitely.
that you wanted to learn.
Yeah, it always helps to take it slow. I'm just an impatient bastard is all.
Mhm. I thought you were lazy.
Huh?
I
Well,
thought you were lazy.
it's two sides to the coin.
I'm lazy as well. I don't practice.
Yeah,
As much as
yeah.
I should.
Oh yeah, have a good one, Jukebox Cowboy. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Yeah, it's just like it's going back to what we were saying earlier, it is always good to have something to practice towards. I it the thing is, getting learning how to play guitar. I don't really feel like I'm learning it for anything other than myself at the moment, right? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
I what I need if I'm ever going to like learn a stringed instrument, like I need to be sort of, I guess, forced into a scenario where I have to learn something in a crash course amount of like I keep going back to the story of Steve Jones of the Sex Pistols. I don't know how
Mhm.
familiar you are with the Sex Pistols, but
They're
Steve
classic.
Jones apparently he didn't know shit about playing the guitar
Mhm.
like leading up to the formation of the Sex Pistols, essentially. So like their manager Malcolm McLaren stuck him with a guitar and said, "Hey, like listen to," or I don't know if it was him or Steve Jones himself, but apparently he just listened to like the Stooges' "No Fun" on loop, which is song with two chords. And eventually, he managed to somehow rudimentarily bash out guitar skills from doing that.
Mhm. Well, I guess it's different for everyone, right? Like they need everyone has a different process that works for them, you know.
Yeah.
So like there's only so much you can say or hear like you can like just like it is with VTubers, right? Like you copy
Oh
whatever
yeah.
someone else is doing, it might not work for you. At some point you got to figure out what works for you.
Absolutely, yeah. Um so I guess speaking a bit more about your singing voice, but
Mhm.
how much experience have you had like singing other than like, doing the screaming stuff? Cuz I listened to your vocal covers and you have a very clean sort of tenor. Like is that something you've developed from practice or is just you just like singing
Um
casually on the side?
it's more casual. I'm not classically trained or I didn't do any choir or take
Makes
any
sense.
lessons. I just spend a lot of time singing songs I like, and I also tried to make my voice lower, or thought I wanted to make my voice lower. I didn't like my voice very much, right? Because it's like
Yeah, yeah.
tenor to alto to even soprano when I can like sing really high. But
Yeah, yeah.
as a male, I didn't like it a lot. I was like, oh, if James Earl Jones can take classes to make his voice lower, then I can do that when I have money one day. But then everyone has their own stuff to work through, but I eventually worked through it, and I found that I really like funk and jazz and fusion and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of jazz and funk uh, were a byproduct of like 60s and 70s soul music, and
Absolutely, yeah.
some of those, some of I once once I realized I could sing like a 70s black soul singer, I was like, "Oh, maybe I can have fun and be really good at this." You know, because they sing some of the smoothest stuff and they have some of the prettiest voices.
Dude, you
So
kill it on a
like that.
Curtis Mayfield tune, I tell you. You
Thank you,
cover
thank you.
Superfly or your fucking Pusher Man? Yeah, you definitely kill it.
Well, I'm actually planning on a new cover because I was inspired by a new VTuber that I found by Jiru. Uh, she
Oh, neat.
sang she sang what was it? The Great Gig in the Sky, and
Oh,
I'm gonna
Pink
do that.
Floyd.
Yeah. Not gonna
Very
change the
neat.
key, nothing. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I love King. I love myself some Pink Floyd. If I had the if I were able to drop everything and like do a Pink Floyd video or a Pink Floyd cover, that'd be a lot of fun. One of the bands that I'm in, very very heavily inspired by. Actually, it was the college friend band. We've played a lot of Pink Floyd for a while. Like our guitarist is like super into to the point where he's got his own pedal board and is always trying to be like Dave Gilmour. It's great.
Hmm.
Uh, let's see.
What do you think
Uh,
of? What is your opinion on Radiohead?
Radiohead. I have not listened to them in a while, but they were actually one of probably the most seminal bands in my developing music taste early on. Like they were
Mhm,
probably the bands that really got me into like more experimental alternative music, that
mhm.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
My favorite Radiohead album's probably Kid A, but I, of course, have a lot of love
Oh,
for OK Computer, In Rainbows, even like
there's some
Held in the
deep
Fades
cuts
is
on
pretty
those.
damn good.
It's like
Yeah, yeah.
everyone knows in rainbows and stuff, or Dark Side of the Moon, but like that those OK Computer things, and my mom used to listen to Kid A, and that was like one of her favorite albums, so I grew
Man,
up listening to it as well.
yeah, no, Kid A's a phenomenal album.
They do
I
some
have,
polyrhythm
yeah.
stuff too.
Oh yeah, yeah, a lot of funky rhythmic stuff in Radiohead's music. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really been keeping up with them in the past few years, although I've heard decent things about the project The Smile. Like apparently, Johnny Greenwood and Tom York are doing some funky things with them. I don't know.
Very
I
nice.
yeah, I don't know. I've sort of been content to leave things with Moon-Shaped Pool. I remember like back when that came out, sort of following the buzz behind that, and that was my first time, I guess, really tuning into like bands' concerts being live streamed by by other people, like in the
Oh,
crowd, you know.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's also become more accepted, right? Like
Yeah,
TikTok likes
yeah.
help the artists and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And fucking King Gizzard, they literally streamed all of their most recent American tour for free on YouTube. So,
They're awesome.
yeah, yeah. I love when bands do that. They just offer stuff to their fans for free. It's more about the community that it brings than it is about like making a profit from it.
Hmm, hmm. Oh yeah, have you ever seen the guy from Radiohead record? Like they did a recording session like live a couple of years ago, like maybe 5 to 10 years ago. It was
Is this Tom York?
semi-modern. Tom York, yeah, like he had the big hair and all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
But yeah, he was like super into uh the singing, and like he put everything that he had into it. And it was like
Yeah.
really nice. It was like really cool to see him basically perform just in a recording studio. Like everyone was just watching him make love to the mic, basically.
Dude, Radiohead are like in their environment in the studio. Have you ever seen the in the basement like videos, or rather I don't know if it's like video or concert footage, I guess you could say, but it's
Mhm.
like them going through. I think they made one for In Rainbows and one for King of Limbs, but both of those sessions are fucking phenomenal.
Mhm, mhm. No, I
King
haven't seen
Gizzard,
him.
they're great. I highly recommend. King Gizzard, Try Not to Be Cool Challenge Impossible. For real, for real. I love Radiohead though. I remember like I think the cool thing about Radiohead, like they were one of those earlier bands that really showed me how cool it is when a band like varies their live set lists like from night to night beyond just playing a stock list of songs from their
Like
catalog
album,
every night.
yeah, yeah. They have
Like
like the unplugged section sessions and stuff.
yeah, I mean like I remember like having downloading a bunch of Radiohead bootlegs from back in the day and just loving like all the variety in concerts and like set lists that they used to have. Like
Mhm.
that's a big reason why I've gotten so into King Gizzard is that like every night it's like a new experience.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. The people that do 200, 250 shows a year are the bands that have the most fun, and like they changed up their live performances to just be
Yeah.
different and fun than the
Like
studio albums.
I don't think I could ever necessarily be a jam band fan. Like that's its a whole other scene. Like
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm that heavy into the weeds of like an improv heavy concert, but I definitely do love like when a band is able to explore the wide breadth of their discography.
Yeah,
I guess sort of
I
related. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say real quick. I did used to download discographies of bands and listen to all of them. I think Yes and Radiohead were some of them back in the
Mm-hmm.
2000s as a young when I was a young warthog. Yes.
For sure, for sure. I guess this kind of leads nicely onto. I guess this is my final question I have written down here. Do you have any
Okay.
like fun concert memories?
Well, I once saw Rush live, and like
Oh, nice.
as I said before, like Rush was a big inspiration for me, and my dad was in like Rush tribute bands as well, since like he's been playing their stuff since he was 17, so he's like a great drummer for it.
Right
Uh,
on.
so like he took me out of school one day back in 2012 when they were on their Snakes and Arrows tour. And
Mm.
after basically like 15 years of life listening to them, I finally was able to go see them live, and I was looking, and I had a weird moment. Like it was in this outdoor amphitheater with like big speakers and stuff built over it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think it was in San Antonio,
Mm-hmm.
but I had this weird thought, like, oh, they're right there. They're like actually there on the stage, like I can see them. Um, and it
Yeah.
was just fun. It was
It's
just
always
fun
surreal
listening
when
to
you
them.
have that experience, like I remember just recently, when King Gizzard were at Forest Hills. I was fortunate enough to see them twice, at both nights. And the first night I was in the general audience, like it was
Mhm.
surreal to be surrounded by all those people there. That Forest Hill Stadium, it seats like 1,300 people or whatever, max capacity. Well,
Yeah,
13,000 rather. And it's like surrounded by that many people and seeing them take the stage, like, and being that close up to the stage, like in the general audience, it was a
yeah,
really surreal feeling.
yeah, for sure. Like
God,
you want to cheer with everyone.
yeah, yeah. And I'm just like, I really do regret not going to see Rush when I could have back in the day, because like,
Mhm.
if theoretically speaking, like I could have seen them like their 40th anniversary tour, like when they came through back in 2015, 2014, 2015.
Yeah,
But alas, I'm happy to have caught Chris Squire in Yes before he passed on. That is something
yeah.
that I feel very fortunate about personally.
Fun fact: Geddy Lee also did a collaboration with Yes. He played the roundabout
Yeah,
song.
yeah, I remember that. He showed up with them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Hmm. Yeah, that was
That
fun.
Yeah, yeah. Man, I say I've also seen like King Crimson 2 times.
Oh, King
Not
Crimson's so good.
not in a row, but just like the recent lineup where they have like 3 drummers at once and like
Hmm.
the guitarists and the flute, and it's so good seeing how well they embrace like all the different periods in their history. And like
Hmm.
I remember
Well,
just like
oh, but
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
just real quick before, because I'm a diehard Rush fan, right? Like, I
Yeah.
need to tell you guys that Rush has a lot of live uh performances on YouTube and on like DVDs. Like, you could probably find them somewhere
Oh
here,
yeah.
there, anywhere. But like, you could still see a lot of their journey. Like, they did 40 years of music, right? So like, there's still a
Absolutely.
lot of stuff to like enjoy them for.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
some
No,
of their
I
personal work.
love Live Rush. Like I love, what was it, their 76 album, All the World's a Stage. I think Exit Stage Left is also great, but like that All the
Mhm.
World's a Stage is really cool, getting to hear that early, really hard rock based Rush.
I would personally recommend watching Rush in Rio,
Mm.
because that was the final tour in their reunion tour for I believe it was Vapor Trails,
Right, yeah.
and before that tour, the Rio was the final one, and they played to 60,000 people, right? But
Mm,
before that, the drummer's Neil Peart's family had died, and they took a
mm,
year and a half off of Rush, and he just got
right.
on his motorcycle and just drove across the country. And then one day he called them up and was like, "All right, let's record an album." They recorded
Yeah,
it in
yeah.
5 months, and that's why Vapor Trails sounds so like raw and uncut or unmixed. And then they did that tour, and it was their greatest tour. So I would
Mm,
recommend watching Rush and Rio.
interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I'm not too familiar with like later life period Rush. You know, I maybe
Everyone
this
knows
is
the 70s and 80s.
yeah,
Uh,
maybe this is just me being a petty bitch. I've never really been much a fan when bands like down tune their songs, and like I get why they do it, right? Obviously, you know, their vocal cords don't hold up for like
mhm.
several decades, but
Oh yeah, for sure. Like up
but
to
at the
Snakes and
same
Arrows was
time,
his peak.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So still a lot
For
to
sure.
listen to.
I
Anyway,
had a bootleg concert when I was a kid. Didn't sound all that good because bootleg, but damn it, little kid me did not care. Oh my gosh. No, I really do love like catching like those like I think they're like some soundboard recordings from like back in the Permanent Waves and Hemispheres era that are really fucking good.
mhm.
I don't know. I it's been a long time since I've dived into Rush really. Like I don't know.
Yeah. So sorry about the tangent.
No problem, no problem. I love Rush. You know, I've been a big fan of progressive rock music ever since I first heard them a long time ago. Like, geez, what was it? I want to say like you know obviously it was like Guitar Hero and Rock Band. I think probably my first exposure to Rush was one of those interesting in-house covers that they did for those music games back in the day.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. They did a lot of wacky stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. How much did you play like Rock Band, Guitar Hero back in the day?
I played on my neighbor's PS2 when I first moved to Texas. Like back in
Mm,
Louisiana before we moved to Texas after the hurricane, the
right on,
big
yeah.
hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
I had a neighbor and I played on his Game Boy Color. So I
Mm-hmm.
played the old Pokemon games, and then when I moved here, my neighbors had the PS2 and GameCube, and we would play Rock Band and Guitar Hero 2 and 3. And that was like the hangout, right? Like all the neighbor kids would come to my like neighbor across the street, and we would always play.
Nice.
So like Guitar Hero and Rock Band were kind of an era up until like
Yeah.
World Tour. It's like that was the cool thing to do after middle school.
And then Activision just completely flooded the fucking market, and nothing was the same. It was
Yeah.
such a good period of time, that rhythm game boom. I am so sad that we don't have like I mean, I guess we have Fortnite Festival, but
And Splatoon.
oh, Splatoon has its own rhythm game.
Well, no, I mean it's more like the music culture, right, in video games. Like
Uh,
they're not really doing music rhythm thing, but well, there's Muse Dash, there's other musical video game projects like did you ever hear of Nitronic Rush?
no, I don't think so.
It was like a musical experience where you would basically race a Hot Wheels car, like drive on walls that were floating above an endless abyss, and you would drive upside down and flip around in the air and stuff. And it would be to like some hardcore techno, like electronic Eurobeat music. It was really good.
That sounds really cool. I remember like recently seeing like there's this one channel on YouTube called This Exists. They did a video recently called or they were looking into this movement called like I think it's called video trash or something like that, where it's like these people basically taking like old movies and vaporwaving them, like
Oh
essentially like
yeah.
is a very cool like sort of underground video editing movement. I love people who are able to like sort of punch up those aesthetics.
Yeah.
Uh, well, all right. I mean, unless you've got anything else that you want to ask or talk about, I think I'm good to call it here.
Yeah, I think I'm talked out, but it was really, really fun talking about music. Never get to do that. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you
no,
having me on.
I always love doing these streams and having on like different VTuber guests and hearing their perspectives on various musical topics. It was great to have a fellow person on who who loves prog and metal and rock and all that stuff. Not to
Yeah.
diss any other VTubers' music tastes or whatever, but you don't often get that combination of of tastes in VTubers.
Hmm. Well, I also do like Utaite music, so
Well,
Hatsune
yeah,
Miku for life.
hell yeah. There you go. But where can people find you, Shinohai?
Okay. So I am mainly active on my second channel, which is Shino High TV, as in
Okay.
television. So that's where I am most, like, I'm doing videos, and if I am working on art and listening to copyrighted music, I'll be on my Twitch channel at Shino High VT,
All
as
right,
in VTuber.
I'm linking it in the chat, and of course I've already tagged your your music account and everything.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, it was a lot of fun talking to you, man. I hope we can do something again in the future.
Yes, absolutely. Either music or talking, I'm always down. This was fun.
Of
Mhm.
course. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today for the music talk stream. As always, I'm happy to talk with you guys. I will post something in the community tab about the latest Patreon update I made for my videos. So you'll be hearing about that very soon. Let me see what we can do with rating.
Oh yeah,
I don't
YouTube
know.
has raids now.
Yeah. I don't know.
Let's just leave.
I really only prefer to raid like smaller VTubers and friends, like, cause I feel like it'd just be a drop in the bucket if I I came into some bigger VTubers stream, but
Mhm.
doesn't. I think I'm just gonna leave things off here for tonight.
Well, just keep in mind, a trickle of water can break a damn wall. Hmm.
That's true. That is true. All right. Well, in any event, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I have been your host, Rizzy Orenji, and I will see y'all next time. Bye bye.